Hey, yo, and welcome back to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. You have the brothers Matulski and a very, very special guest. We have Karen Guregian of Mass Live with us once again, joining us to talk all things Patriots, all things football. So much to get into, Karen. But I got to start here, guys. A year ago today, it was Black Monday, and Gerard Mayo was out as the Patriots coach. And we sat here saying, what did they do? Where did they go? What's going to happen for this team moving forward? We fast forward a year. The Patriots have one of the most unbelievable turnarounds from a season standpoint from last year to this year. We have lots to get into. Obviously, we have the game, and Sammy K joins us. Hello, Sam. We just got started. Great to see you, buddy.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Happy New Year's.
Doing well.
Yes, Happy New Year as well. So much to get into. We have the game yesterday, J-Matt. We can certainly start there, but there's certainly sort of tropes from the entire season and as we gear up for the playoffs. So I'll hand it over to you, J-Matt, to set the table, get things going when it comes to all things Patriots. We'll certainly get Karen's take as well. We'll go around the horn and keep everything moving forward. J-Matt, take it away.
Yeah, so the Pats ended their season on a high note, 38-10 victory. They'll take on the Los Angeles Chargers in the first round of the wild card playoffs on Saturday. Next Saturday, that's going to be
Sunday
Night Football. Sunday Night Football. That's a very exciting game, prime time. There's a lot we could talk about the game yesterday, but honestly, I kind of want to do a little bit of a shout out at the end of the season, but for what I think on who should be shouted out from the team. First person I want to shout out is Drake should be MVP May. 72% completion percentage to finish off the year, almost 4,400 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, QB rating of 113.5. Didn't even put his rushing stats in there as well, so I excluded that. But absolutely incredible year, bounce back year from last year, and the sky is the absolute limit for this guy. He gets some more talent around him, and who knows what he can produce. Speaking of talent around him, Travion breakout season Henderson, 911 rush yards with 9 touchdowns. Like I said, breakout season for him. Love to see that. Stephon Baller Diggs, 85 receptions for 1,013 yards, only 4 touchdowns, which I think he himself could say he would want to improve on. But coming off an ACL tear, you really can't ask for much more than that. And then on the defensive side, just a couple people I want to shout out is Milton Big Boy Williams, absolute game wrecker. And the stats don't speak for themselves. You can look at his stat line and that will not even remotely tell the impact that he has on the field and on the defense and on the game as an entire whole. So Big Boy Williams, got to get him on the field. Great to see him back last game, and then for the playoffs coming up. And then Robert tackling machine Spillane. This guy's incredible. 97 tackles on the season in only 13 games played. Like, just absolute crazy stats. And we need him back in the field for the playoffs. And the last person I want to shout out is Andy Big Leg Bora Gallis. 27 out of 32 on the year for 84.4% on his kicks. And he broke the record at Gillette this past Sunday for a 59-yard kick, which was incredible to see in the cold weather. So just a couple of shout outs for those guys that I think they deserve it. And Karen, what's your take on the season, yesterday's game? I want you to chime in here.
What's my nickname?
Sister Karen. Sister Karen.
Everyone got a nickname there. Come on, Josh.
Karen's Sister Guregian. I like it.
There we go. Yeah, there it is.
All right. Well, I'm glad that they, took care of business and they didn't, just sort of do what some other teams did and not play the regulars and just coast into the postseason. I'm glad that they won. They won convincingly, which is their MO. They assured themselves home field for at least 2 games. And if Denver loses and they win their games, they'll have the AFC Championship in Foxborough. So I was really, and I think that watching them from cover to cover, first game to last game, you can see the strides they made, but you can also see how much that they've kind of bought into Mike Vrabel and his messaging and game to game and game to game. Now, when I went on shows like yours at the start of the year, I thought it would take a while for them to adapt to a new coach, a new offense, a new defense, lots of new players across the board. But I think they adapted a lot quicker than I could have envisioned, because, my experience with new coaches and coaching staffs and new schemes is, they don't really, everyone doesn't kind of get together till, maybe around the midway point, and then they close off the season well. But it's almost like things clicked in after week 3 for them. I mean, they played well and they beat Miami, but from the Carolina game to the Buffalo game, they were pretty much, all in. And I can't really legitimately say they put up any stinkers along the way.
Big E has one.
And I think
Pittsburgh.
For a long season, that's really impressive. But as I said, I think it's a sign of how much they've bought into the coaching. And I think it's also a sign of how good the coaching is and how, again, this isn't the most talented team. But I think they believe that these coaches put them in their best positions to succeed. And I think, again, we saw that week to week to week to week, all throughout.
Extremely impressive. Eric and Sam, want to get your takes and any questions that you guys have for Karen?
Yeah, I would say there was one stinker this year. That game against the Steelers was awful. I think that was probably the most undisciplined game that they played all year. 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, 2 picks, or 4 fumbles, 1 pick. Sorry, I had to go back in the recesses there. But Karen, I think for you, the question that I have to go back to is, I think we can all agree that coaching was huge this year in the way that they developed the system and what they wanted to do with just the overall culture of the team. How much of this team's success this year do you think can be attributed to coaching versus the front office? Because I think the front office absolutely nailed it out of the park as well. When you go back and look at the draft and you go back and look at the key free agent acquisitions, there really are not a lot of misses there. And I think that's a big difference from where the team had been in the previous 5 years.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. I mean, God, you're looking at the success chart, or however you want to call it. I think you actually have to go back to Kraft firing Mayo. Not a lot of teams can their coach one season in, especially after he's your hand-picked successor to Bill Belichick. I mean, gosh. So I think that took some gumption on the part of Robert and Jonathan Kraft to basically cut the cord with Gerard Mayo before really giving him a chance. I mean, obviously that season was a disaster, but I think they realized they put him in a bad position. Inexperienced coach, didn't know half of his coaches because he didn't have a whole system of Rolodex of coaches to bring in, and like the worst roster of all. So I think they figured that out, but they were quick to do it. So we didn't have to go through another year of this from sameness. And I think they also realized that, they chose a quarterback in the first round, and you don't want to screw up, especially if you think he's going to be special. While he's on a good contract, you don't want to screw up, spend those 4 or 5 years as a losing team. You want to build towards something. Replacing Mayo with Mike Vrabel was the first step, and you have to give ownership credit for that. And then, of course, Mike Vrabel assembled his staff, which is a really good staff. And he brought in a couple of his guys to work with Elliott Wolf so that they would fix things in free agency and they would fix things in the draft. And you have to remember too, they were able to bring free agents in without any really hook. Usually guys, it's either money, or as we saw when Tom Brady was here, players would take less to play for a winning team and to play with Tom Brady. So they were able to bring in some key guys, Milton Williams being one of them, who's coming off a championship team, and they had to pay him to come into this situation. And we were talking to him today, actually asking him, when you signed here, did you anticipate this? And he said, no. You have to be honest, no. But they paid him. And Steph Diggs, I mean, that was a gamble there. And part of that was because other wide receivers, no matter what they paid him, didn't want to come here. That's going to change now. The success that they've had, the free agents that they brought in, Spillane being another one, the rookies that they drafted. It all kind of marries itself together. But make no mistake, they've had a 10-win turnaround because of the quarterback. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
It's been
he's
unbelievable.
phenomenal.
I don't think I think we all knew Drake May had the talent and was, going to be a player in this league and showed the flashes last year, but not one person was sitting here at the beginning of the season predicting a Patriots 14-3 record. Drake May being in the MVP conversation, Vrabel being maybe in the coach of the year conversation, depending on how things went. But it's everything that you just said, Karen. This entire situation has it's like all the recipes that you had and all the ingredients blended together to make this beautiful dish. Sammy, I want to get your take. Anything on the game? Anything that you want to ask? Anything that you want to ask Karen or get into? I saw that beautiful wink of yours here.
No, I mean, the game speaks for itself. I mean, there are always trap games whenever we play Miami. It's always been notorious.
It looked like that at the beginning for a little bit.
First half, for sure.
They took a nap, as Mike Vrabel said.
But for me, more so, Karen, I know like your relationship with Mike, with Coach Vrabel has just, it's grown over the years, your rapport, all that good stuff. Is there something that us as fans, we haven't seen behind the scenes that you kind of have that, I don't want to say like necessarily this team is bought in, because you kind of talked about that, but are there like certain things that you've seen like behind the scenes that you're just like, okay, no, this team is like, they're really together. They're really for it. They're really for one another.
Well, I think, all those little clips that they put out after the game, with Vrabel congratulating every player, or, shaking everyone's hands as they come into the locker room, hugging them out. And, that if you go, like a common theme, every time you talk to players is, how tight they are collectively. And I'm not just talking about just the guys on offense or just the guys on defense or just the guys on special teams. I think collectively as a whole team, they're like one of the most tight-knit, close teams that have been around in 40 some odd years. And I think, and again, I saw this with Belichick teams too, but I think there's a reason, and part of the reason is, I mean, I know with Belichick, he wanted a certain type of player. He wanted a, versatile, but I think with Vrabel, it's just not like scheme fit. I think it's, a personality fit as well. I think I don't like Belichick. Vrabel doesn't want to have to handle all these me first guys and all these big ego guys who are, care more about their stats and their glory than the team glory. And it was interesting, when they signed Diggs, I thought that they were taking a chance because, again, his reputation was to be a me guy, give me the ball guy. And after he's been around Vrabel for a while, he is just as big a team guy as I've ever seen. I mean, the players talk about it. He's been so good in the locker room, outside allegations notwithstanding.
Alleged.
But again, in the context of the Patriots football team, having Diggs buy in and being one of the kind of the ringleaders of togetherness, team, share the ball, having him be at the front of that class has been huge. But as I said, all of these guys, and maybe because, again, it's not like this star-studded, talent-laden team where you have a lot more of those individuals. But I think the beauty of this team and the beauty of many teams of the past is how connected they are. And this team is very connected.
Karen,
I think you could see that pretty evidently, though, over the last 2 games, and I think, you know, seeing yesterday how all the players were getting up and celebrating when the incentives were being hit, I think
Mm.
speaks to that closeness of where you see this team. And I was watching some of the other games yesterday before the Pats game, and yeah, there were guys that were hitting incentives. I didn't see their teammates get up and get so excited for them like I saw routinely on the Patriots sideline over the last 2 weeks. So I think that further cements what you were saying, Karen. I thought that was just something that was huge.
Mm.
J Mac, go ahead.
Yeah, Karen. So I kind of want to take it back a few minutes. You said that you think that the team has been the most successful because of Drake May, and I couldn't agree more with you. I think he's been the reason why the team has 14 wins and why they've turned around from a 4-win season last year. And I think the MVP should go to the person on the team that if you take that person away, are they going to have even remotely 14 wins? Are they going to have, maybe 6 wins, maybe even 4? And so I think that's what the MVP award should be. Not that the best offensive player is basically the person that if you take them off that team, what is that team actually going to be truly like? What's your take on the MVP vote? And then also, do you get an MVP vote, or how do you know how that shakes out?
No, I don't, oddly.
I know, I don't like that. I think you deserve
We'll put in
Yeah,
a
I'm
word
gonna have
to
to
our
have a
good friend, Mr.
conversation with
Well, we're
Goodell.
gonna have to make some movement on that. I don't get an MVP vote, but and again, I hate to, be like the hometown girl and say, "Oh, Drake, Drake, Drake," because I mean, it's hard to ignore Matthew Stafford's numbers too. What was it, 46 touchdown? I mean, that's obscene. But again, if you're a good voter on these things, you look at the big picture and you take everything into account. I mean, there's certain things that you can say, like, does Stafford have a much better arsenal and weapons? Yes. Has Drake had an easier schedule? Yes. Um, has if you could switch their places, do you think Matthew Stafford would have as much success? Would he have led the Patriots to 14 wins? And
Potentially.
would Stafford have led the Patriots to 14 wins? And would Drake have led LA to 12 wins or more? And I think that's kind of where Drake's legs come into play and his mobility. And look at the first downs he's gotten. Look at plays that he's extended. Again, that's what I'm saying. Look at the big picture. 72% completion percentage is unheard of.
team record, right? Crazy.
NFL record. But here's the thing. If you told me just blindly some quarterback had a 72% completion percentage, I'd say, oh, he's check down Charlie. Drake is not check down Charlie.
He's far from it.
As a matter of fact, they have to beat him over the head to make him check down. Honest to God. He's like the best deep ball thrower in the game. And again, it's not like he's throwing to DK Metcalf. I mean, that's why I say you have to put it into context. You have to look at the whole picture. when you vote on these awards.
Karen, I think we
Go
talked
ahead,
about
Nick.
at the beginning of the year that this might be considered the worst receiving group in the league. And now we're sitting here at the end of the year saying that our quarterback, with what we went into this year with potentially one of the worst receiving rooms in the league, is an MVP candidate. I mean, how can you not put that on the quarterback and say that that is based on his talent to elevate the players around him? And it's not even the receivers, the tight ends. I think he's just done so much more with so much less, which it's hard to argue that.
Yeah.
And the Patriots have played some great defenses on their schedule. While their records may have not been good, the defenses were actually somewhat quality.
Yeah, I think Cleveland, look right there to that. Look to that defense for starters. I do think Drake has definitely elevated the level of play, but I don't want to totally, did we think Stephon Diggs coming off an ACL was going to be 1,000-yard receiver and do what he did? No, but he's been great. 100-yard games?
6, 7.
Was it 6? And I think maybe we sell some of these guys short. That's not to say that, they're great, but Kayshon Boutte as a deep ball guy was really good. He got hurt, but he's Drake's deep guy, and he's made these ridiculous catches on deep throws. I think Hunter Henry, his tight end, is almost as dependable as you get. But it's like, here's the other beauty of Drake May, who's really, again, bought into the system. And I think if we go back to week 1 and the Raiders game, we're all like pulling our hair out going, oh my God, this marriage with Josh McDaniels is awful. He's messing his head. This is awful. He can't learn that offense. It's too much. Anyway, Drake has adapted and bought into the principle of that Tom Brady offense. Hit the open guy. And for us to see different guys every single week be the leading receiver, it wasn't one guy. It was all of them taking turns. But again, if you're a defense, if you think about this, one of our biggest things was, the Patriots never had a number 1 receiver. Everyone's playing out of, they don't have a. Well, fine. Stop Diggs. Fine. Boutte will catch 10 passes. Hunter Henry will catch 11 passes. So Drake's been able to, if they take away somebody, fine, I'll just hit this guy or that guy or this guy. Whoever's open, whoever in the progression is open, and Drake hits that guy. Doesn't matter who it is. He has favorites, but if someone's open, that's where he's going. And that I know, and was one of the big things that Brady did so well.
And that's the best part of this team is it's a collective team. Every person on the roster has been leveraged and utilized. You think of a guy like Ramondre Stevenson, who had a great game yesterday and has come on strong as of late, had major issues at the beginning of the season. You forget about this, but if Antonio Gibson didn't go down, you'd really have a three-headed monster at that running back position. And there's just so much to look forward to. I think we want to shift the conversation to previewing this game against the Chargers on Sunday night. Karen, what stands out to you with the Chargers? Obviously a team with a newer head coach in Jim Harbaugh, and a quarterback in Justin Herbert, who has been talked about as one of the elite guys. So what sticks out to you with the LA Chargers? I got that correct. And then fellas, if you have anything that you guys want to chime in on regarding the game, we'll do that. But Karen, take it away.
Yeah, well, what jumps off the page right away is finally somebody has a worse offensive line than you do. And but it's funny, the Patriots offensive line was pretty darn good this year. But we'll talk about years past. And the Chargers line, both starting tackles done for the year. And Herbert has he's taken so many hits. And for a mobile quarterback, He's been sacked 54 times. 54. And that's, I think that's like second in the league second most. So, and somehow they won 12 games or 11 games or whatever it is with a quarterback who was running for his life most of the time. So that line has not only impacted him, but I think it's impacted their run game a little bit too. I mean, I think they have decent backs. They have 3 very good receivers, who've, and Herbert spreads the ball around to all 3 because all 3 have like upwards of 700 yards catching. And I think he's capable of beating anyone if you give him time. Herbert is that good. But their offensive line has just been so bad, so awful, that it makes it even hard for Justin Herbert with a broken arm to beat you. Their defense is very good at all 3 levels. Their pass rush is good to very good. I wouldn't put it in the same league as Cleveland, but they're good. And they're also good when I saw this, they're actually really good at defending the deep pass. So that'll be interesting, to see how often the Patriots go to that well or try that, or if they're content and if Drake is content, to hit the check downs and the crossers and to move the sticks that way as opposed to gaining it all in one big fell swoop.
So talking about like moving the sticks and the shorter plays as opposed to the longer plays, what do the Patriots need to do this Sunday night to get a win and move to the next round in your eyes?
Well, I think they have to, if they can get to Herbert, which most teams have, with just a 4-man rush, and if they're able to Christian Gonzalez has to lock down one of the 3. I don't know if that's McConkey. I think Marcus Jones might be a better matchup for McConkey. Keenan Allen, whatever. If Gonzalez locks down one, and if Marcus Jones is able to handle McConkey and Carlton Davis kind of holds his own, uh, you know, I think that's going to be a big key. The other thing, though, what will help is if the line can pressure Herbert, if they can get to him. And again, if they can't, if they can't get pressure on him against one of the worst lines on the planet, that'll be pretty sad.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this game comes down to Drake May. And like you said that the Chargers have a great pass rush, but my question to you is do they have a good pass rush with you only using 4 men on the line pass rush, or are they going to have to bring extra people home on the blitz? Because if they're going to do that, I think Drake May is going to eat them up if they have to bring extra men to get a pass rush. So if they can get pressure with 4 men, then I'm going to be a little bit concerned because I think Drake has struggled, I think, a little bit when the pass rush of 4 men have gone to him. But we'll see if they can do that.
Yeah, and they close off some of those like check down areas, or if he's had trouble. I forget what team it was, had the strategy. It was Buffalo in the second half of that game here. They took out Diggs and Hunter Henry. And this was one game where the other receivers like couldn't get open and couldn't, find a way to get open. So, Drake's looking to the first guy. No, looking to the second guy. No, and there's no third guy. Okay, crap. What do I do? Right? And that's where you get into a little trouble, as if you can take away his top 2 guys. And again, are the Chargers going to play zone? Are they going to play man? I think teams that play man have had a little more success, let's say. But ultimately, and this is the great thing about Drake, and another MVP reason for him is defenses or defensive coordinators have been able to kind of keep him in neutral for maybe a quarter, sometimes a half. But ultimately, Drake has prevailed. In other words, he's found a way to beat whatever they're throwing at him. And obviously, Josh McDaniels has a hand in that. But there really hasn't been any singular defensive scheme coverage or whatever that has totally stymied Drake this year.
Karen, two guys I want to chat about who are on the offense who I think have been security blankets for Drake throughout the year at different points. Mac Hollins and Kayshon Boutte. Obviously, Mac Hollins, he tends to be the guy that I feel like whenever there's a long third down, Drake just tends to find him, and they have that great rapport. So I think we're certainly going to miss him this week. But I think Kayshon Boutte really started off this year really, really hot, great deep threat, and then really injured that hamstring and really hasn't been the same since. How do you feel like the other guys are going to step up faced with a better defense than what they've been playing over the last couple of weeks without those two guys out there on offense? Or if Bootie's out there being potentially a little bit diminished?
Yeah, well, I think, Mac Hollins is like a sneaky big loss because, again, if somebody takes away Diggs, man-to-man, somebody takes away Hunter Henry, Hollins was usually the guy who got open. Or if he wasn't open because of his height and his stature and his contested catchability, Drake would just kind of throw it his way and he'd come, he'd come down with it. And that that's really how you can't replace him because you have nobody with his stature or skill set. There's nobody that they have that they can say, oh, we have another 6'5" guy, a 6'4" guy who's great at contesting catches and gets open against man. They don't have that. Boutte hasn't been the same since the hamstring injury. But many of us think that, he potentially has to be that guy who steps up if the other two aren't open. But I think it's interesting. And again, I don't know how this will play out. But since Hollins went down, Efton Chisholm has been getting some time. Little Efton that could. What do you have a nickname for Efton, Josh?
No, I like that. That's good. That's a good one.
Little Efton that
That's a good one.
Yeah. Trademark that.
He's not anything like Mac Hollins, but it doesn't matter. If you can get open quickly, okay? I mean, he saw more snaps than Demario Douglas the last two games. Chisholm did. So again, he might be that their sneaky little threat. And again, if the big guns are covered.
What about Kyle Williams? I feel like he's kind of come on a little bit as of late, too. I know he's had a little bit of trouble earlier in the season, but it seems like his connection with Drake is starting to take hold a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to see, but I don't know if, like, on a down-to-down basis, he's the guy yet, And again, Efton is more of the, snap the ball, there he is open, the quick hitting crosser. Williams can be that too, but he needs to be their deep threat guy, the guy who can just take coverage down the field and make plays by the same token. So he doesn't quite fit the profile of a go-to guy in certain situations. He's more of like the big splash guy. But again, it's good to see because like the first 8-10 games or so, he and Drake did not seem to be on the same page at all. So, but you can see now that I think Williams has picked things up a little more. He and Drake are on the same page a lot more. And again, it's not hard. It's good when you have someone with his speed and talent to throw out there and kind of keep defenses honest.
They're going to need everybody going into this game against the Chargers. They're going to need everybody as we go into the playoffs. We touched on this a little bit offhandedly, but those situations with Christian Barmore and Diggs are something to keep an eye on, the off the field situations, and obviously it's allegations, as I believe Sam said, and you won't really know more until those legal proceedings take place. But that will be something to keep an eye on. I do want to give credit to the team. Karen, you obviously led off that press conference to Vrabel, and I think everybody was somewhat shocked at the answer that he had when he said
So was I.
it wasn't disappointing. And so that was interesting in terms of that situation. So you were shocked when he said that. That was a big surprise to you.
Well, the way I framed the question was, he's made a big point of players making good decisions and not doing anything to kind of disrupt the team and what's going on. And innocent or guilty, these two players find themselves in these situations that potentially are disruptive to the team. And then he said, it's not disappointing at all. Nah, not at all. Whoa. Okay. I don't know if he thought I said something else or what it was, because later in the press conference, he said things more along the lines of, we don't, Chargers are serious and blah, 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 blah. But for him to come out of the gate with those charges and say it's not disappointing was kind of head scratching.
I think you just get him a little spicy, Karen. I think the first question, he just gets a little, little on edge.
Oh, yeah, right. I don't know. I don't know, but I think a lot of us were like, what?
Yeah, I
You
think
said what?
everybody had that reaction and sort of, and maybe he obviously might look back at that moment and say he should have had a different sort of answer or approach to it. But we'll see if those situations play any sort of role when it comes to things moving forward. I do think for the week that was, they handled it internally. They had a pretty good performance against the Dolphins, and you roll on here to the playoffs. One thing we're going to talk about around the league in a moment, but one thing I also want to shout out is, Karen, you had an awesome, I think it was one of the games that was on ES. It might have been Monday Night Football, but you had an awesome expose talking about, how you asked the first question. So if you haven't seen that, put that into the YouTube machine and check out that video. Was Teddy Bruschi a part of that? I don't know if I have that correct or not, but that was an awesome little piece that I saw
He came
before
on
that
after
game.
Mike Reese of ESPN put it together, and he interviewed both me and a woman in Tennessee who Mike also allowed to ask the first question always. And so the tradition kind of started in Tennessee, and Mike kind of brought it forward to here. And so it was on the occasion that Mike returned to Tennessee that Mike Reese thought it would be kind of neat to, put that together. And basically after the piece was over, Teddy Bruschi and Randy Moss and whoever were chit-chatting about the piece. And of course I covered Teddy and Randy. I covered them all, but Teddy did say some nice things as well.
Love it. Yeah, that was awesome to see. Also, you mentioned Mike Reese. We've been ranking Mike Reese's. He has a shitload of snacks in the press box every weekend. And
oh my God.
We rank them on Twitter every week in terms of what we
He's
think
a
is the
Finnish
best
guy.
and
He
worst.
would never, for someone who has all those snacks, right?
They're on the healthy
Mike-
side, though. They're on the healthy
Very
side.
fit. He's very fit.
Mike Giardi thought the sugar intake on week 18 here was bad, but I don't know. Mike Giardi's got to show his snacks before he starts chirping others. Karen, do you have any snacks when you're in the press box?
Well, what they see, what's bad is that they have this little candy assortment that they put out, and they're usually like little Reese's peanut butter cups and Snickers and Kit Kat. I mean, it's like Halloween every Sunday, right? And so it's like you can't help but like free candy, right? And so you sort of stack it right next to you, and 1 Snicker, 2 Snickers.
I've had 5 and it's only halftime. It's
Yeah.
only the first quarter.
I think they're like this fun size, the snack size, as opposed to the big mother bars, you know?
But the snack sizes are worse because they're deceiving. You're like, oh, I've had 2 or 3. It doesn't count. Like it's a fun size. 20
Can
fun
have
size
another
pieces
8.
later, you ate more than you would have if you just had a candy bar. So I totally get it. I'm a victim of the snack size.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you're, at least for me, I can only speak for me, is that when I'm writing, it's like writers want to do one of 3 things: drink heavily because they're on deadline or whatever, smoke, can't do that in the press box, or snack. Because it's like it's almost like you can't think without your mouth going, or I think better when I'm snacking. I don't know. It's just this weird thing. So I think I must gain like 50 pounds every story I write.
Well, just don't be taking any of Big E's M&Ms and everything will be just fine. So
We had some issues about that this summer. So, oh man,
Yeah.
my brother here just taking my M&Ms left and right. Growing up.
Been doing it for
And
years.
it's not the same. It's almost like I have these doctors telling me, it's like, have something healthy. So there I am with like carrots and celery, and it's like, nah, it's not the same.
Where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that?
There is no fun in that.
It's not
Absolutely.
football food. Come on.
No, definitely not football food.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little more football, just going around the league, wrapping up things in terms of what yesterday was in the weekend. The Carolina Panthers backed their way into the playoffs in a very roundabout way. The pictures that Baker Mayfield's wife put out there, just doing him dirty. That was rough. But the Panthers get in. Seattle takes care of business. The number 1 seed, Sam Darnold, does not go number 2 down his leg in a game that matters like he did last year. So that was very interesting to see. And I don't know, when you talk about popes and all this holy things that happened yesterday, the last 3 times there's been a pope that's been, a new
Seattle,
pope is Seattle has gone to the Super Bowl. And
New
then,
pope, Seattle in the Super Bowl.
That's interesting.
So shout out to Myles Garrett and whatnot in terms of the sack record. He did very impressively take that from Strahan. And then the last thing I want to mention, which I don't know if anybody stayed up for this game, was the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game was one of the most epic ways that you could have ended a season. Karen, were you able to see any of that and how that shook out?
Yeah, I caught the end. I was actually driving back, listening, and just going back and forth. And
Crazy.
Lamar does this, and it was nuts. And for Baltimore to lose because the field goal kicker couldn't make a chip shot. Wow.
Well, and Chris Boswell, he's got to be like the luckiest guy in Pittsburgh, because missing that PAT, and he completely missed it. Like that, the amount of breath that he was able to take after Tyler Loop missed that kick must have just been so exhilarating, just to be like,
I think the luckiest person in Pittsburgh was Mike Tomlin. My God. At the end of the first half, to not take the points and try and go for the touchdown, you were in a situation at the end of the game where this call all could have been avoided if you just took the 3 points at the end of the half. That's my thing, is that he got really, really lucky that they won that game.
There were actually people on John Harbaugh because they kind of let the clock, they could have ran another play and gotten it closer. And I'm going, if the kicker is going to miss the kick, from in close, I don't think 3 yards further up was going to help his case, so.
No, it was that Pope in Pittsburgh putting a little holy water, literally probably right where the ball landed.
So get more of Aaron Rodgers. Yay.
Yeah, right. And so interesting, because Baltimore missed the playoffs, Kansas City missed the playoffs, Cincinnati Bengals missed the playoffs. So 3 of the premier quarterbacks that we expected going into this season are not in the playoffs. Where do you think the AFC field is? Who scares you the most out of all the teams that are left?
Well, it's more a venue than a team. I mean, playing the AFC Championship in Denver is scary because, again, if you want a legitimate home field advantage, that's it, and combine the altitude being there with their defense, and it's going to be tough to take them out if Denver advances to the AFC Championship. But I think it's almost like, I don't want to say it's a level playing field, but I think all the teams in the AFC have their strong suits, have their strong points, and they also have their flaws. And I think, just because the big gun quarterbacks aren't there doesn't mean there aren't good quarterbacks still around. And I think the Patriots have just as good a shot as anybody, for that reason, because there isn't a Patrick Mahomes sitting out there, there isn't a Joe Burrow sitting out there. So, and, the Patriots are flawed. They don't have depth. They don't have the most talent. But if being together, playing like a team, and having an extraordinarily good quarterback means something, they'll do some damage in the postseason.
It's going to be fantastic. The fact that we have playoff football back at Gillette Stadium, that was one of the things Mike Vrabel brought up at the beginning of the season in his press conferences. Win the division, home playoff games at Gillette Stadium, and, make runs to put up another banner at Gillette. And I think that's what we're all hoping for. As Karen just said, the door is open for that to happen. Sort of just taking a look at the schedule. If anyone has anything they want to chime in on in terms of the games, we can do that. And then we'll let Karen get on with the evening. The Rams and Carolina and the quarterbacks, Bryce Young into the playoffs, Caleb Williams into the playoffs. And yeah, Carolina and the Rams already played an epic game this season. The Rams have been in some unbelievable games just in general. You got a Green Bay and Chicago showdown on Saturday night. And J-Matt, that's typically when the Patriots have played those games. So It was interesting to see it come out on that Sunday. The Texans got moved out of their typical Saturday 4:30 slot as well. You have them taking on Pittsburgh in that Monday night game. Rodgers in the playoffs, C.J. Stroud. And then I really do think that the jewel of the weekend is the lineup on Sunday. You have a great game against Buffalo and Jacksonville. A team that's been tested and that's been there, and Liam Cohen and those boys, trying to take care of business down there. San Fran and Philly should be excellent. Those have been some great showdowns. And then you wrap up Sunday Night Football with the Pats. So, Karen, anything you want to plug, anything you have going on, any stories you have coming out? I know we obviously want everybody to follow you on the socials, Guregian on X and Twitter, whatever you call it. And she's writing for Mass Live all over the place. But Karen, anything that you want to leave us with on this Monday night?
Well, tomorrow actually I have a pretty cool thing coming out, and it involves Drake May, and how maniacally competitive he is. It's not just football. If you play, as he told me the other day, if you're keeping score, if there's a score to be kept with some game, it's like he's in and he doesn't want to lose. I mean, he'll go to charity events, and again, I was told these stories. These high-paying donors, right? Donate all their money for their chance to play ping pong with Drake May, and they get to play, and Drake's out for blood.
That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
But
it's mindful of another quarterback who was here that I covered. So
love it. Eerily reminiscent.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. I mean, no, you never thought that, you never knew if and when there would be anybody that would come in that would come anywhere close to any of the things that Brady did. And we talked about it in this last hour, which, some of the stats that Drake had, and he put up a season that's comparable with Brady and some of the best. And you add the running to it, and that's a whole dimension that Brady never had. Although I was there for the game where he juked Brian Urlacher, and it might have been the loudest I've ever heard Gillette Stadium in my life. That was an epic moment. So Gillette Stadium will be rocking on Sunday night. Karen, we know you'll be there covering it. We really appreciate your time, as always, for joining us. And we will see you soon down the road. Many, many thanks.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
I love it always. And you'll have to check out that story tomorrow and tell me what you think.
Absolutely. We'll be on it. We'll share it.
We'll be sharing it. Yeah.
You'll post it on X, and we'll.
That's live. Yeah, I'll I post it everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it.
Beautiful. We'll be on it. We'll get it out there. This episode will be out ASAP, and we'll have the clips as always. So we'll tag you and share along throughout the course of the week.
All right, guys, until next time.
Yes.
Sister
To our
Karen.
favorite sister.
My favorite brothers. Take
Exactly.
care.
Happy New
Take
Year
care.
to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Happy New Year.
The great, the best, one of the first guests, Karen Guregian, with us. I think this was her third appearance on the show. We really got
Three.
cooking with Karen there in the last 30 minutes or so. I mean, some of the dialogue we had there was fantastic. We've been going a little long, so we want to keep the train and the car moving around along the road. Gabe, unfortunately, is sick. There's been a lot of shit going around. People have been dealing with stuff over the past couple of weeks. So I'll set the table for the Bruins here a little bit, and anybody can chime in. But just an up and down, the roller coaster just continues to go on.
Downhill.
The 6-game losing streak. Now they've won 2 in a row. A big win out west against Vancouver, and Fraser Minton in front of his hometown family and friends scores the game winner. I don't know where this team goes, though. I don't know what they do. I don't know, their fringe playoff team. I don't know what you guys want them to do with the deadline in the Olympics. I don't know. I'm lost on the Bruins, and a middling team is the worst place to be in hockey, in my opinion.
It's all this whole year has been fool's gold, man. Like it's just been fool's gold. Like I'm going to sound like a broken record, but like you have to start at the top. Like it's all on the front office. Like they have not put the talent on the ice that we expect as Bruins fans. I mean, we're talking about a team that won well over 100 points just a couple of years ago, and now they're a team right now that is probably not going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. I really don't think they're going to. I think there's just a lot of great talent above them in the league. And this is a league where you have to come in the top 4 of your division. And if you're not a top 4 team, you're not looking good. And they need to either go on a tear before the Olympic break, which is happening very, very soon, in a couple of weeks, or the season's over. So that's my personal opinion. So if they want to do something, it's really the next 4 weeks, time to nut up, get some points, or they're just going to be a middling team and they're not going to make the playoffs.
When's the trade deadline? Because I know that's pushed further back because of the Olympics. Do we know exactly when that is? Is it in March this year instead of February?
Yeah, it's going to be early March. I would imagine. I'll
look it up.
The
old Google machine
GPT
out.
going here.
I wonder if that actually will be an advantage for this team, because I'm guessing the trade deadline is going to be maybe not
March
at the
6th.
same point. Yeah,
Wow.
that's like way further down the line.
Ides
And
of March.
when does the schedule end? Is it still is it a little bit later in April than mid-April? I know I could look these things up myself, but
Sorry, Friday, March 6th, not 16th, March 6th, but still, March 6th
Okay.
is pretty. That's
that
Ides of
might
March.
be to their advantage as far as where the direction of this team is going to be
the
going.
season's gonna end probably April 10th or something like that. That's my guess.
I'm checking it
So
right
they'll
now.
they'll have about a month before the season's over to figure out whether they want to sell or buy. And
April 14th, so not far off.
Yeah, about 1 month.
It'll be interesting. There's a lot to figure out. Go ahead, J-Man.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just so frustrating because you do have the goaltending that we did not have last year, and we asked for it all year. We're saying, where's Swayman, where's Swayman, where's Swayman? And he's actually showing up, but you're just not getting it's really the bottom 6 forwards aren't playing, and the bottom defense is just kind of falling apart. And then when Korpisalo is in spelling Swayman, because obviously Swayman can't play every game, he's just throwing up goose egg. Not throwing up. He's just he's letting up
He's
so many
throwing
goals.
up.
I wish he was throwing up goose eggs.
Makes me want to throw
zeros, but just not a great
Nice.
showing for the Bruins over the last month and a half. But that's kind of par for the course for this team.
I'm going to stand 10 toes down on this. I still think the right move here for this team is to trade Swayman, because no, seriously, if
No,
this
just
team
that
is,
expression was great.
10 toes down. I think that's the first time I've ever heard that in
I don't
my
know if I've ever
entire
heard that
life.
either.
What the fuck
It just
mean?
brought me back
You're
to a
firmly
picture.
it just means I'm firmly entrenched in the take that I'm taking right now.
Panels out.
But I just think at the end of the day, they should be
Gymnast.
looking to trade Swayman. If we don't think that this team is seriously like going to be in contention within the next year, 2, 3 years, what point does it to have a top goaltender on this team when you have so many other holes elsewhere, and you
but
might
they
be able
are
to use him to fill some of those holes?
no. But you do have talent coming up. Like the BC kid Hagens. They do have some talent in the pipeline.
When? 2 years from now?
No, no. That kid's gonna come up when BC season's over. He'll play. He's gonna play this year. I guarantee it. I guarantee you'll see him play. It's just a matter of like when are the other guys gonna start coming up. But I think next year could be a big year for them if they do get some of this talent in the pipeline. And if they do actually, I think they should get rid of Sweeney depending on this year. I think if they fail, if they don't make the playoffs, I do think they should shake some shit up because it's just going to be the same thing over and over. So they have to make some changes, and I do think that next year there could be some good stuff on the horizon. But this year it's just I don't know, man. They're a tough watch. They really are.
Yeah, it hasn't been the best hockey season. There's been some late games with them being out west. Big E, let's change it over to the PIKE. Let's talk the team in green, a team that has been wildly impressive, coming off a 4-1 West Coast road trip and back home tonight, taking on the Bulls. Take it away on the seas, Mr. Toes.
Yeah, so I think we're talking about how the front office for the Bruins really kind of just screwed it up this offseason just with what was going on. I want to give credit to the Celtics front office, Brad Stevens, Mike Zarin, and that whole crew for doing what they could to build a competent roster that I think has surprised everyone, fans, people in the media, people across the league, because this team right now is now only half game back behind the Knicks in the Atlantic, and they're only 3.5 games back from the number 1 seed in the East. And remember,
Crazy.
they're doing all this without Jayson Tatum, who is arguably their best player, or at this point, their second best player. And the reason why he might be their second best player is because you have a bad man on your team named Jaylen Brown, who, don't just take it from me, the statistics speak for themselves. He has been an ascending player every single year in the league, where his stats across the board continue to get better and better. Not only that, but on this last week where the Celtics went 3-0, he dropped a 50-piece against the Clippers. And yes, the Clippers, you can say, their record's bad. They're not a good team. They're winners of 6 straight before going into that game playing against the Celtics on Saturday night. So to me, I think just where this team is, it's an interesting place because they're still above the tax threshold, which is something that I think we all had an expectation that they were going to be making a move at some point to get under. I'm not so sure that you do that now because Simons has been a great player for this team. And I don't know if trading him at this point is going to be really what's going to help this team unless you're going to get something like a stud big man that's going to come in and fill that hole up front. So I don't know where this team goes in the next couple of weeks with the trade deadline if they move off any pieces. Because I think at this point, if you move off a player like a Simons, you might be moving off a player that is a big piece of who this team is.
Kraz, you want to jump in? Anything on the Celtics? I know you always got a take.
Yeah, no, for me, it's just, I said it from the get-go. My panic meter was always at a 2. I had a feeling that this team was going to kind
Very
of
true.
You did.
stumble around a
absolutely.
little bit till they figured it out. For me, really, it's just the big man. That's what it comes down to. And I'm always looking at the boards. I'm always looking at if we're getting beat on the glass. Hasn't been too much of an issue lately. Again, one of the games, I think it was Sacramento, every single one of our players was a plus on the floor, which is really hard to do. But that just means that, everyone's impacting the game in different ways, and that means that they're jumping for boards, they're doing what they need to do. So do we really need a big man at this point? When today's modern day NBA, how many legitimate centers are there? You have Joel Embiid, you got Jokic. There are some legitimate NBA centers, but a lot of them are stretch, well, no, they're not stretch fours, but they're not legitimate centers. So I think you guys are right with messing with what they have now. There's just no need to do that. Before I was all trade, Anthony Simmons for a big guy. I don't think that that's the case anymore. I think you leave the team as it is. If you make a minor adjustment, you make a minor adjustment. But I mean, everything's don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah,
One thing
no,
to
I
also
I I agree with you 100%. Like, and someone that I think we need to give credit to is especially who could like ruin the chemistry if you trade for a big man is Luka Garza.
Yeah.
He's been great as of
Garzilla.
late. I'm looking at his stat line: 11-6 the last game, 11-3, 15-6. Like, what more could you want from a big man right there? Honestly, who's playing probably less than 20 minutes a game. His stat line speak for themselves, and I think you have to give him some credit. You also have to give the coaching staff credit for recognizing that and when to play him and when not to. So I think that Garza has been a great addition, and this team has been really, really clicking as of late. I mean, obviously Jaylen Brown has been that guy, but I don't know if you mess with any of the chemistry. Like, you're getting Tatum back, and as we say this, they're 20 points at halftime on the Bulls right now. So it's like, if it, like you said, Sammy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Can I ask you guys a question? Besides Chris Boucher, who really has been a non-factor this year, who that the Celtics brought in either from the draft or from free agency has not worked this year, has not been a contributing player? Everyone has been a contributing player.
Yeah.
I mean, Hugo Gonzalez, who's 19 years old, who we can actually now say, he's only 19, the joke that we used to make about Jayson Tatum back in the day. What he is doing on the court defensively is unbelievable.
Yeah,
And
he's got a ton of upside.
His offensive game will come around. Jordan Walsh, like, whatever happened to him, like, he has made himself not only a rotational player, but he's a guy that we need on this team long term. So I just think they have so many things to be thankful for, and to look at the staff, whether it's the front office, the coaching staff, the leadership of Jaylen Brown, and the rest of the veteran players. And I'd look at, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, those guys, Sam Hauser that have been here. It's a resounding success of a season so far. And yes, there's a lot more to play, but we also have an open roster spot. So that buyout market is something to keep an eye on, to see any of these players across the league that are looking to get out of their, terrible situations that they're in where they're losing teams. And I don't know if I want that dude. He's kind of a loser, in my opinion.
Ogre.
He's a loser, though. I want people that are winners. Give me the Luke Cornettes, please, God.
You ain't getting him, unfortunately.
No,
he's having himself quite a season down in San Antonio.
Honestly, I think he's the player I missed the most out of all the other guys that we lost. 100%. Was Luke Cornett.
Well, Drew Holiday's played 12 games this season, and I believe Porzingis has played
is like
about
12.
18.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
that's the thing too.
Brad, you did it again.
It's been availability. It's been, the roster has come together. Sam, as you sort of said, you wanted to sort of see 15 to 20 games to see how it all sort of shook out. One of the most impressive things, I saw Brandy tweet this out the other day, is that the Celtics offensive rating is like top 5 of all time, rivaling the 2024 team right now, which is unbelievable. And with a team from a talent standpoint. Going to Jaylen Brown, he should be an all-star starter. He should be potentially all-NBA first team this year.
Yeah.
The disrespect that Jaylen Brown has in this league is ridiculous. And you talk about MVP, I don't think he's going to be the MVP of the NBA, because that's just not the way it works. But
he should be in the conversation.
Right. And if you talk about it being a guy that if you remove them from the equation of a team, now the hospital Celtics are always a fun time and a fun watch. But the fact of the matter is Jaylen Brown is an all-NBA guy this year.
His team would be under 500. Well under 500.
He's been the turnovers still irk me with Brown, but what he did the other night, that was a shot-making clinic that he put on against the Clippers. And he's just had himself an unbelievable season. You go to the rebounding, and I think Tatum coming back will help with that immensely. You'll get some more size in your starting lineup. You have to assume a guy like Jordan Walsh or Hauser or whoever's been in that role, goes to the bench when Tatum comes back. So you add some size, and he's a guy that's averaged 8.5 rebounds over the last 4 seasons. So, you're going to have it. I don't know if you tinker much, if at all, with it. I like what Big E said. You look at the buyout market and maybe see, can you bring in a PJ Brown kind of guy? That's going way back in the files, baby. yes, can you bring somebody in like that to help fill that void? So Celtics are a fun team. They've been great to watch. I think moving forward, it's time to reverse course and put the Celtics back firmly in number two. And the Bruins, it's time to get moved on down. The
Bruins might
Red
be
Sox,
number 4.
I don't know about that.
Well,
they're making
because
a bid for it.
they're making a bid for it, but a team who has made no bid for absolutely fucking anything when it comes to free agents is the Boston Red Sox.
I was going to say,
Sam,
Biggie,
why don't you take it away on anything?
Yeah,
Sox?
Biggie, can you add in like some cricket effects right now?
I'll try my best. Like,
All right.
I mean, they suck.
Give me 2 seconds of silence. That's what's happened, okay? They've spent, you want to know how much money they spent? They have spent as much money as the Colorado Rockies have spent this offseason. You know how much that is? This much. $0 fucking dollars. That's insane. You cannot compete with the likes of the Blue Jays, with the Yankees, with the Dodgers, with the Mets, with the Houston Astros, even the Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies. If you can't even go out and spend in free agency, and it's not just this season, and like Bregman will sign with the Red Sox. Like, I do see that happening. This for me is more of an issue of how is this going to affect the team down the road through 2 or 3 years down the road? Like, people are going to look and they're going to be like, it was that much of a fight to come to this fucking place. Fuck that. I don't even want to bother. I would rather just go somewhere else where they're just going to not hand it to me, but it's not going to be, as fucking tug of war with a fucking tiger over here. This is what I feel like is going on with the Red Sox front ownership. And I don't even blame Craig Breslow, because he can only do so much. He can only bring his offers to the table. Ultimately, it's John Henry's cheap fucking ass and fucking skinny, pointy, weird fingers signing the fucking check at the end of the day. And he's not doing that. And that's what he needs to do. He needs to sell the team and get the fuck out of town. Go back
So
to England.
you know why I think the Crypt Keeper, because he does look like the Crypt Keeper, is not willing to make these big contracts. I think it goes back over a decade ago. Pablo Sandoval and Carl Crawford. Those two contracts.
Yeah, but no, you can't. The Carl Crawford one, you
agree.
can't, because you signed Adrian Gonzalez to a similar contract, and Adrian Gonzalez was worth every single penny. But in order to move Carl Crawford, you had to move Agon.
I'm not saying that it's right, but I think that's what they look at, and they say, we overextended ourselves twice and it has not worked for us. And I think that's the genesis of all of the free agency problems that they realistically had, minus Dombrowski, because Dombrowski was all about signing free agents.
Again, the devil's advocate to that was signing JD Martinez, signing, a bunch of these other guys.
Short-term deals.
JD Martinez wasn't a short-term deal. That was a 5-year deal.
He was a young player then.
He was 31.
So, Sam, you said, is this going to affect them down the road, like 2 or 3 years from now? But I want to play like a little, I want to go back in time a little, because I think this has been going on for the past 5 to 8 years already. It started with Lester, and then it went on with Mookie, and it's like, we can't keep doing this every single fucking year with these guys and expect the players to want to come here. It's just, you can't look at say that it's been an issue for the next 2 or 3 years when it's already been an issue for the past 5 to 8 years. So it's like, if it's almost like the Bruins, and I hate crossing sports, but like, if nothing changes on the top for the ownership, then as fans, we should know and expect that nothing will change on the field.
Why does ownership why does ownership expect that every homegrown player is going to take a discount, right? And like, you want to
shut business.
No, it is a business. It is a business. But the one player who didn't take that discount, Mookie Betts, they shipped him out. And to their credit, I think they've actually done a good job with the players that they have signed over the last couple of years that are homegrown, because they've taken advantage of signing these players while they're so young and giving them so much money that it is going to look like a discount at the end of those.
Well, no, what they do is they sign them when they're young on that first cheap contract, and then when they get for the big money, they say screw, and then they let them go. That's what they do. That's the Red Sox.
That's been what they've been. It's so unbelievably disappointing. Even if Bregman comes back, it's like he should have been back anyways. Like, You didn't do what you should have done last year and just given him a fucking real contract, and that's why you're going through this entire situation once again. And I love Bregman. Like, certainly he brings a grit and personality to the team and leadership, but you know, he the past couple seasons hasn't been the healthiest of players in terms of being able to stay on the field, and has had, you know, that hamstring injury that we talked about. So it's like, you're going to go give a 5-year deal to a guy who, you know, has been out for 60 plus games the past couple of seasons. And it's like, from that standpoint, I understand why the Red Sox don't want to go hand out these contracts. But on the flip side, the way baseball works is you got to go. The fucking Dodgers have a minor league team in Japan or something. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like,
money, who cares? Like, you know, if that's what they're worried about, spread it out over like 10, 15 years. That's what the Dodgers do. Act like the Dodgers.
As J-Matt said, we hate to cross sports, but it's like, you look at a guy like Bill Chisholm, who's on the fucking wood every night at the Celtics game, like into the game, and, you know, cares about the team. And you just see John Henry licking his fucking ice cream cone with Maz, and you know, just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Like, it's so fucking frustrating. I don't know what else to say. Like,
there's nothing else to say other than they need to fucking go out there and prove us wrong, and go out and win 95 games and win a division. That's what they need to do in order to shut us up.
Stop meddling and let the front office people do what they're supposed to do. Say, here's the budget. Go do what you got to do. If there's something that is really that worthwhile that you need to bring it to me because you need ownership decision, do it. But let the front office people do what they're hired to do, which is build the fucking team.
It's unfortunate, but I think they are. I just don't think they're given anything from the top.
They're not given latitude. That's the problem.
Exactly. And I don't think Craig Breslow is a bad general manager or whatever the fuck his title is. I think it's they haven't given him the tools in the toolbox to go do what he needs to do.
John Henry is not using those skinny fingers to fucking wrap around that weird pen that he has that's got an ice cream cone at the top with a cherry.
Linda,
we gotta go to that time of the day.
This could just trickle down to him just a little bit. I would be so happy.
Biggie, it's time. It's that time.
It's time, guys. It's time for the things that get me up out of bed in the morning for my bowel movement. And they're the things that get me depressed and make me not want to do things that make me
exciting players,
like spending money. I hate it so much. So who's got an like a bowel movement, or like signing free agents this week?
That was the best one ever.
Unbelievable. Let's start with the Ohs. Whoever wants to take it away, go for it.
Let's talk about Coach.
I'll start with.
Go for it.
I'll start with one. Morgan Geekie. Stick with the hockey. It doesn't make Team Canada. That's a big what I don't know if he's still the leading goal scorer in the NHL, but he's up there. So I think that was a big miss on Team Canada's part, and they're going to lose because of it.
And listen, I know Canada has a lot of options because they have a lot of great players, but to just it doesn't even seem like he was considered, and that to me is the disappointing part.
You're not my buddy.
They're going to lose.
You're not my buddy, guy.
Pal, you're not my buddy, pal. You're not my pal, guy.
Another with every end of the season comes firing of coaches. We had some in-season firings. I believe Brian Daboll from the Giants. I believe there was another one as well.
Tennessee, whoever that was.
Yep. Today,
Brian
Pete Carroll was fired along with Kevin Stefanski from the Browns. So
John Gannon.
So there is this is the that I have, is that there's a rumor going around that Deion Sanders might get hired as the Cleveland Browns head coach, and I just
it'd be a bad look. Bad look.
I don't.
Chance of being hired by the Raiders, honestly. To be honest, I feel, and I'm being serious. I think he's got a better chance of being hired there than with the Cleveland Browns.
That would make sense in Vegas. I think. Yeah,
I think so too. I don't think it's going to happen, but I definitely don't think that because of his son, he's going to get hired in Cleveland. I think that's a crazy take that people are putting out into the internet, and the internet's a crazy place.
I got to, oh yeah. I want to shout out to my one of our biggest listening fans, my father-in-law, Ed. It's his 70th birthday on Saturday. So shout out to Ed. Happy birthday. And I know you're going to be listening.
Happy birthday, Ed. Much appreciated all your
Tag
listening
Sameh.
and viewership, and we I wish you a very happy 70th birthday. We'll keep the oh yeahs going. Oh yeah to Tuukka Rask and DJ Screwloose. So DJ Screwloose is well known in the Rhode Island parts, and if you've been to places like the Scorpion Bar at Gillette, or if you've been to Memoir or the Grand, you've definitely seen DJ Screwloose. He also DJ'd my wedding and Gabe's wedding, so we have a bit of a personal connection there. And he was DJing at the nightclub at Encore the other night, and none other than Tuukka Rask was up there with him on the ones and twos. So shout out to Screwloose and Tuukka Rask for having themselves quite a time at the Encore the other night.
Tuukka just seems like a great time in general. Like, dude seems like he's loving his post playing career, and he's always around in the community. So
you love to see him around, right?
Yeah, I just love that Tuukka has like stuck around, and like, yeah, he didn't win a cup here, but who cares? Like, he was a great player for the Bruins, and
well, he did
technically
win a cup, but he didn't.
True.
Technically, he won a cup, but he wasn't that goalie.
Shout out to Simon.
Dude, the craziest thing is Tuukka Rask is like the same age as us. Like, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah,
we're getting up there.
We're old. Unfortunately, yep.
And then there's one more oh yeah here, and we're not going to ruin this because we know that it's still within the last week.
I need to watch certain episodes
we're not ruining anything. We're not going to ruin anything, but Stranger Things, I will personally say, oh yeah, I thought they stuck the landing. I'm not going to give anything away from there, but I was personally satisfied with the way that things ended.
I heard a lot of yaos.
But yeah, you want to know what? There are going to be a lot of detractors out there, and you want to, I can say to them is they can suck it. You want to, they can do a little Degeneration X, and for those out there, if you don't like it, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Change my mind.
Don't yuck someone else's yum.
Undoubtedly one of the top 10 television shows of all time, though, when you think about just sort of the impact, and I don't want impact isn't the right word, but the way that it sort of hit internationally. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing that you see with something like Netflix is it's not just here in the US, but it's literally a global platform. And lots of the people that are in that series are not of American backgrounds.
I think everyone's just salty of how long it took. I think that's why people are giving it like a bad
people are salty for that for sure.
You can pick at shit. You can do Game of Thrones ending. I think universally was.
Well, no, I mean House of Dragon and like filming and all that stuff.
It'll only be a matter of time
for season 2 to come out.
I think the big complaint was the age of the kids were no longer kids anymore. And like, listen, yes, that did happen, but COVID also happened. There was a writer strike that happened. If those two things didn't happen, this last season probably would have come out 2 years ago, and they would have been more age appropriate. So like, listen, things in the world happen. Get the fuck over it and move on.
I don't think anybody had a problem with Daniel Radcliffe or Emma Watson or Rupert Grint at the end of Harry Potter. So
very valid. Very valid.
I was gonna say that was pretty spun on as far as age and each.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. I mean, you had Harry Potter in terms of.
But actually, I just want to talk about one quick thing, really quick. How is it that Dumbledore went from wearing a 3-piece suit to having a full-on fucking beard and a wizard robe, and I think it was like a 25-year span? That makes zero fucking sense to me.
Dude, magic. Easy answer.
I know. So was it beating Grindelwald, and that's okay? Now I'm an actual sage, even though I'm still a fucking wizard.
When you're the headmaster of Hogwarts, you wear robes. I think there's robes at the school. I think that's all.
Well, yes, honestly, there is robes at the school.
Can I say one thing that I think wizards got right is robes. Robes sound like they're comfy as fuck.
Super comfortable, right?
It would be good. I wouldn't want to wear the ties that they had to wear. We could do a whole fucking Harry Potter episode, to be quite honest.
We should.
Harry.
Well, Harry, rubbish. Let's take out the rubbish. Let's park the. Let's park the
trash in it.
Before we do that, though, just real quick, OG Dumbledore or new Dumbledore?
New Dumbledore.
No.
OG Dumbledore, dude. Are you talking like Richard Harris or
Michael Gambon?
Michael? Oh no, that's
a tough call. It's a tough call.
Michael
Both were very
Gambon,
good.
only because he was in more of them.
I do think that new Dumbledore really hit his stride in the Order of the Phoenix, and we'll leave it at that.
The Half-Blood Prince, bro.
Yeah, well, great. Yeah, great performance
And
overall.
don't ask what Ron Weasley's ex-girlfriend's doing on OnlyFans.
God. Luna.
And we're going to take the plane.
On that note, park the car.
Let's park it. All righty, let's do it, fellas. Obviously, the game of the week is the Patriots and Chargers. We'll go around the horn. J-Matt, what are you looking forward to in the game or any of the other NFL games happening?
I mean, I'm just looking forward to the Pats game, most honestly. Like I'm happy there's a full slate of wild card playoff games, but there's nothing like watching a Pats game on Sunday night being in prime time at Gillette Stadium. I'm just really souped up for that game. I'm hyped. I don't even want to talk about any of the other ones.
Getting ready for throughout the day, cooking some food, and yeah.
Yeah, you got your beers, you got to have your menu ready to go. You got the whole day leading into it. It's going to be a Sunday for the books. Big E, fully loaded slate for the Celtics this week. Which of the 5 games are you looking forward to most?
Yeah, I think it's a real easy one for me. My big love from the Celtics, who departed us in the offseason, the one and only Luke Cornett, is playing us on Saturday at 8 p.m. So the Spurs are one of the best teams in the league. It's a great measuring stick game for the Celtics. So that is the game that I'm most excited about in this upcoming week.
Absolutely. You got Wemby coming into town as well. Obviously, sad that the Celtics take on Denver on Wednesday, but Jokic is currently injured, so you unfortunately won't see him. But the Celtics hopefully keep everything rocking and rolling and keep propelling themselves towards the top of the Eastern Conference. Bruins with 4 games this week. The one that sticks out to me is there's really
Rangers.
2. It's the weekend slate back-to-back against the Rangers and Pittsburgh.
Penguins.
You have a
appetizer for the Pats game.
There's nothing better than the appetizer, although the Bruins will be relegated to the iPad probably while that San Francisco and Philly game is on the big boy. So that's what's going on with the Bruins. And Kraz, what are you looking forward to?
5 weeks. Approximately.
5 weeks. You have a date yet or no?
No, I don't have a date yet, but there'll be
Cy
a bunch of
Bregman.
people waiting outside there.
Was it like probably like February,
Sign
like
fucking
10th or
Bregman.
something?
Yeah, let's sign him
day.
like a week before.
Right after.
He'll change his Instagram picture like 25 more times, and then he'll sign.
We shall see. We shall see. It's been a great episode. As always, a huge thank you and very, very gracious to Karen Guregian, one of the first ever guests on us with the show. Really helped legitimize the podcast for us. Her and Trevor coming on as early as they did, and now she's joined us a few times over the year and a half that we've been doing this. So a big shout out to her. Sounds like she has an awesome story coming out tomorrow, so be sure to check that out. Biggie, you got a final word.
Guys, one last this is our 69th episode. Oh yeah, let's go.
Yo soy fiesta, near far,
Yo
wherever
soy
you
fiesta.
are. Thank you for tuning in.
Gronk knows.
Gronk knows to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. We'll see you next time, episode 70, recapping Pats playoffs. See you then.
Go Pats.
Go Pats, baby.